So narcissists, they're described as very self-centered, egotistical, and arrogant. They're also known for their tendencies to idealize and to devalue others. They have a preoccupation with very grandiose fantasies. They live in this, world of inflated sense of self-importance and entitlement. And those are all well-known characteristics, but what's less understood is the inner world of their grandiose fantasies. What's going on in here? So these fantasies, they serve as a source of narcissistic supply, and that compensates for their feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. So today we're going to talk about the fantasy life of the narcissist in very great detail. We're also going to look at some of these fantasies to cope with their underlying feelings of insecurity and shame. And that is what guides them, the ego and their insecurity, their shame, that guides everything that they do. So they are portrayed in the media as very powerful, successful people who have it all. But in reality, that's not what's going on. They often lead very secret lives of fantasy and insecurity. It's sometimes incredible to hear about what actually goes on in their secret lives. So the covert narcissists, they are expert flatterers, and they love to engage in fantasy talk, especially during the first, the early stages of a romantic relationship. And these tactics, they're also used by overt narcissists, but not as consistently, because an overt narcissist expects flattery to be directed to them, not the other way around. So the flattery, it's a manipulative tool that works well on those who haven't heard, from previous partners. You're beautiful, you're sexy, you're wonderful, you're smart, over and over again. So it is a very powerful grooming technique when used with the right person. And the right person is going to be maybe someone who's come from an abusive relationship, maybe someone who hasn't received the love that they need, or come from a toxic family. So their sweet talk and their promises of a very wonderful life, our approval and acceptance from someone who might be in desperately need for attention. But what we need to realize is none of this is real. None of it's real. So the covert narcissist will also appear to be very in touch with their emotional side. And this can be very appealing. You want people who can, talk about their emotions, who can communicate. And so that's what they portray in the beginning. So they might also say things like, when we're being together, talk about being together in the future. And this is to cement the deal for people who are often from toxic families or codependent. They do give you suggestions that are kind of out of the blue and sometimes inappropriate for the relationship timeline, because they always do things really early, really fast in the beginning of a relationship. But folks don't seem to notice because they already believe that they have met either the woman or the man of their dreams. So narcissists, they have this inflated sense of self-importance. They believe that they are so special, they're so unique, and they crave attention and approval. And they feel that they are entitled to the best of everything. So underneath this grandiose exterior, the narcissist feels insecure and vulnerable. But you would never know that by what they're showing you on the outside. But they're actually terrified of being rejected and seen as ordinary or average. And this does stem from childhood abuse or trauma. And to protect themselves from these fears that they developed in childhood, they create this false sense of themselves that they want to, and they try their very best to project to the world. And this image is perfect and always in control. But the reality is that narcissists are often living in a fantasy world, and they are very insecure. So the perception of the successful business person is just as important as the actual reality of being a successful business person. Perception for them, means a whole lot more than reality. I mean, it's great if they do have actual success, But if they don't, then they are okay with the perception. So living in a fantasy world, it might seem empty, but it does still accomplish what they need to fill themselves up, to make other people believe what they are portraying. So the narcissists, that do achieve success, there are many, a lot. The vast majority of them are often crippled by insecurity, by doubt, to put in, they don't put in the time and the effort and the success that it requires. So that's why they will latch on to successful partners, and they will siphon opportunities and connections through them. Sometimes they will plagiarize their work. They often get into these relationships based on whether they think they can gain status, money, fame, regular clout chasers. So they seem to be focused on perpetuating this superior image to others. It allows them to obtain the narcissistic supply that they so desperately need. And getting this supply is always number one priority. Okay? So the monster inside of them constantly needs to be fed. And so that's what they're basing all of their decisions on. It's this false image that they've created. And it's like a tool which allows them to facilitate for their need and feed of narcissistic supply. So narcissists they're never alone. They're never at a loss for company. They're purposefully surround themselves with these flying monkeys. These are people who give their unfaltering devotion to them, who will jump at their bidding. These flying monkeys make it easy for them to live in a fantasy land. I've dealt with flying monkeys who spread a whole lot of nasty things about me in the smear campaign that were completely made up, but they jumped on board because the narcissist said so. So they believe these lies that they're presented with, and they back up their stories. They provide alibis. They sometimes provide eyewitness accounts to help to grow this legend. So narcissists, they use this tactic called future faking. This is when they lie or they promise something about a possible future in order to get what they want in the present. So it could be as basic as, I'll call you later, but they don't. Or it could be promising a vacation with you, and then they never take the steps to make it happen. It could be, promising a committed relationship or to get married, whatever, to carry you off into the sunset to live happily ever after. And this is all in order to make you complacent and to have control of you in the present. And control is everything. We'll talk more about that. But they're actors, and they play different roles for different people. We'll call these roles masks. So they try to keep this mask up so that you don't see what they're really like. So the expression that you will often hear is, when the mask falls, we will see the real person and it won't be the same person. So when the narcissist does drop the mask in front of you, they've screwed up. And they forgot what role they were playing with you. So this could mean you saw the evil side to them that you'd never seen before. And please don't be surprised if they dump you after the mask falls, because to them, when the mask falls, the gig is up. And they need to start moving on to someone who's more naive, who doesn't see what's behind the mask that they have provided. So just a little bit about me. I was in a relationship with a narcissist. We were in it together for a long time, but we didn't live together. We lived on opposite sides of town. And to me, he was a nice guy, a perfect guy. But I soon learned when the mask fell, he was not the person that I thought he was. He had a whole lot of addictions. He had a whole lot of dating options, that we were not in a committed relationship as he led me to believe. So I learned, that he was pretty greedy, corrupt, and a clout chaser. So, they use Facebook, Instagram, a bunch of, dating websites to get involved with other people. And they have a mask on for each and every one of those people too. So, I'm just talking about a few of the things that I have experienced in a relationship with a narcissistic person. There are many more that I could go into, but what you need to know is they're never going to take responsibility for their behavior. Never, ever, ever. And so what they do is they project their behavior onto you. So if they're saying to you, you are this way, you are a bad person, you are a prostitute, perhaps, you might really think about what they're saying, because often it's a projection of themselves. So they want to be the center of attention. They believe that they're better than others and that they deserve very special treatment. It is really this inflated sense of importance that can lead to really terrible problems in their personal and their professional lives. And I'll be going into more of this throughout videos that I present to you. But thank you for being here today. And I want to say, if you are interested in learning more about narcissism, please check out our channel for more videos on the topic. And don't forget to like and subscribe.